I think we will be starting our shippers meeting. Thank you very much for joining us. It is first offline event that we have in, I think, year and a half, and we are very thankful to you that you managed to come here physically. And I'm also very thankful to those colleagues who joined online. A couple of technical things. First, on all chairs you have the QR code through which you can access the presentation. Alternatively, it will be on the big screen. You can ask the questions again in the YouTube broadcasting if you are connected online, and then we will answer all of them in the Q&A session. So we will start with the introduction part of Sergei Makagon, the General Director of the TSO of Ukraine.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you offline today here. We hope that very soon we will get back to normal work. For me, actually, it's as a general director, it's a big challenge because it's very difficult to get people back to the offices. So they prefer to stay at home and they don't want to go back to office. But as a person, I understand why to lose a lot of time in traffic. But as a manager, I see that we need some time to have people together because we lose these social contacts and this group dynamics. So that's why it's very important also to have people in one place to discuss, to create the team spirit and the working environment. So this is really the challenge, but I believe that all your companies have the same challenges. But the world is changing, so we have to move with the world. And I think that with our IT platform now you can trade gas and not trade, but deliver gas even sitting at home. And I know that our team is trading on Ukrainian gas exchange, also sitting at home. So the world actually is changing. By the way, yes, I have to have a pleasure to announce that we already started trading gas at the Ukrainian gas exchange within in the head market. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of liquidity. So we sold, Andrei, how much? 70,000? 70,000 cubic meters there, and I think we daily make the bids or asks, but unfortunately there is no liquidity, and this is the next challenge for the market: how to bring liquidity together, how to combine all these existing trading spots into one single within their head market. So actually, it will be interesting to hear your ideas on that. So I will start with the presentations. It's about our highlights for 2020-2021. First of all, we were created just in 2020. We started operations in 2020, and I think we reached quite significant results. In terms of ensuring the stability of transportation and transit, providing the products, so we managed to sign the direct interconnection agreements with our neighbors. We implemented virtual interconnection points with Hungary and Poland, which allowed us to boost the import possibilities for Ukraine. And right now, we see that the competition between the routes is great because now the Hungary is the major supply route for Ukraine. Now I think about 95% of imports is coming from Hungary. And it's great that we have several options where the shippers could choose the best one and get the best price for Ukrainian consumers. So we also implemented the auctions platform for allocating the capacities according to the CAM network code. We use two systems. I think the majority, 99% of our auctions are actually without auctions. I remember just several cases. It was Poland last year and January and February where we had the auction and premium was quite high. So also I think this is a very good example of transparency and fair allocation of capacities among shippers. We are moving towards the EDGAS format. I don't, maybe my colleagues will tell in details where we already use this EDGAS. I think that the last one was
on western border. So on western border,
yes, already even Romania, yeah?
Yes, with Romania, so we don't use it in Moldova and Russia.
Yeah, Moldova and Russia, yes. In Russia, Gazprom is not ready to use EDGAS, but anyway, I have to say that on the technical level, we have quite good relationship with Gazprom. I mean, all these nominations, renominations, so it was unexpectedly good because we already had experience working on western borders, but Gazprom was it was very new stuff for Gazprom, particular, not Gazprom expert, but Gazprom. So that's why I can say that on the technical level, so we have very good relationship and trying to solve all the problems without any public conflicts. So we started to trade at the gas exchange. So it took us about half a year. So the main problem was just to pass some bureaucratic steps. It's certification of the gas exchange, the integration of our IT systems, but now it's already working. So we are ready to develop this market further. So we are starting the incremental capacity process, and this is very important for us. Why? Because I believe the next 2 years it will be dramatic change in the gas flows in Eastern Europe related to the opening of Serbia-Hungary pipeline. We see already that the majority of Southern European countries are supplied through third stream, and the next step, the start of this Serbia-Hungary pipeline will also change the flows in the region. Also Poland and the expiration of the contract with Gazprom in 2022. Then, of course, Nord Stream 2. You know, will it be operational this year or not? So now we know that Merkel is now in the United States, and we spent a lot of time to persuade our colleagues, partners, that the Nord Stream 2 is not just the commercial deal, and the results and the impact of Nord Stream 2 for the particular Eastern European countries would be quite significant, and it will just increase the dominant market position of Gazprom, not just a supplier, but also as a transport company. So, so that's why we encourage you also to participate in the incremental capacity process in particular for Hungary and Poland. Yeah? And Romania, yes. Why? Because we don't have firm capacities from Poland to Ukraine, and we don't have firm capacities from Hungary to Ukraine. So it means that if it will be no physical flow through Ukraine to Hungary and Poland, it will be no physical flow from those countries to Ukraine. And we will actually we will have only the route through Slovakia. And I think it's not, even from the point of view of security of supply, it's not very good, but also from the point of view of trading, it's not very good, because you will, as a traders, you will depend just on one single route through Slovakia. So that's why we encourage you to participate in these increased capacities processes, just to show to the TSO of Hungary and Poland that there is market interest to develop these firm capacities towards Ukraine. So we are in very good discussions with Hungary to develop firm capacities. We have some technical issues we need to resolve. First of all, this is the quality of gas. In that region, the methane content is lower than required in Ukraine. In Ukraine, it's a little bit higher, but it's related not to actually to Ukrainian requests. It's related to the historical transit contract with Gazprom. So there is the strict requirements from Gazprom to the percentage of methane in gas. So that's why we need somehow balance these requirements. We are moving in, I think, in right direction, but it takes some time. So Poland, again, we are very interested to develop the firm capacity from Poland to Ukraine because we need access to LNG terminals and to the. We expect that they will have this Baltic pipeline finished and other additional resources of gas. So we're interested to be there. But gas system also would like to see the commercial interest to this point. That's why we agreed to have this increased capacity process just to see what is the interest. So we believe that we can bring significant value to each country. For example, the Polish shippers could get access to Ukrainian storages in order to store gas in Ukraine, and it's very important from the security of supply point of view, but also it's very important from point of view of reducing costs, yes, because the Ukrainian storages is significantly cheaper. So we see that there is market possibilities and commercial possibilities for both countries, and we hope that you also will participate and prove to both TSOs that there is a market interest. And the firm capacity, we started to provide quite small, but firm capacities at the Isakcha Orlovka in the Romania-Ukraine direction. Unfortunately, now we cannot offer more because we have this Moldova on the way, and there is some technical issues we need to resolve before we'll be able to offer the firm capacities. In terms of the market development, I think you know better than me, and it would be very interesting to hear from you your assessment of our market development in Ukraine. But according at least to the effort, we are moving forward. And as I remember, the only problem which we have, the major problem that we have in this assessment is this lack of the clearing and settlement services and this wholesale gas market. But from the point of view of where the TSO is responsible, I think we already reached the level compared to the comparable with our neighbors Slovakia, Poland, and Hungary. So now this is the main problem is the organized market. It's about our map of our customers. So we have 94 foreign partners from all over the world. About this is my slide from my presentation yesterday about our main ideas for this year, main direction. So definitely switching to energy units. So we are working hard on this law to impose the energy units in Ukraine. We appreciate and support the introduction of REMIT. We think that we need and we support gas release program to try to combine the liquidity in one trading platform. The biggest challenge for us is neutrality charge, because in order to say that we are fully kind of implement the European energy law, we need to implement it. But the real problem is that we still have some market inefficiency and some lack of proper regulation related to this debts of the DSOs. So now the total amount of debt is about 9 billion hryvnias, and it's quite, let's say that it's very difficult to collect the debt, and I think it will be not fair to spread out through the neutrality charge this debt to all shippers, because it will just kill all the market. This is, I don't think that your margin would allow you to absorb such a cost. But even like this is not fair. Yes, we have the DSOs, they have tariffs. So DSOs, they collect about 24 billion hryvnias as a distribution tariff. Half of this money should be allocated on buying the gas for technical needs of DSOs. So it's about 12 billion hryvnias. So I think they have enough money to pay to us. So we just need to make sure that they will properly spend this money. And I'm happy to announce that this week the law 3508D was adopted, which foresee introduction of special accounts to DSOs. So it means that the money from the population will be collected on the special account, and DSOs will not have access to this money. The regulator will split this money between the TSO, between us and DSOs. So we expect that we will improve our collection rate from DSOs, and it will be a very significant step towards the normalizing the situation with the unpaid gas offtakes. I personally spent more than 1.5 years on promoting this initiative in Verkhovna Rada, in ministries, in President office, but finally we get the support, and we think that it will allow us to solve this problem. As in new routes, definitely we are very interested to provide you with the possibility to import gas from LNG terminals in Kirk and Poland. Of course, Greece, Turkey as well. I don't know what is the economics right now on this import, but from the TSO, we just need to create the possibilities for you, and this is up to you to use these possibilities or not. So we're just working hard to arrange these possibilities. Trans-Balkan pipeline, I think it will be quite interesting route in the future, considering the development of the gas in that area, the TANAP, Turk Stream, I mean, local discoveries of Turkey. So I think this pipeline will be quite interesting very soon. Last year, one of our traders, Ukrainian traders, tested the test delivery from Greece to Ukraine. So, and it proved that it's already working. So it's very hard to arrange this. I mean, to sign this contract with Bulgar-Transgas, Moldova, and stuff like that. But we had the successful delivery of gas from Greece to Ukraine, and we expect that, like in the nearest future, this similar test supply will be from Turkey to Ukraine, just to test how it is operational. So we will see.
Turkey prices are
Nice.
nice.
No, I mean it's not about price right now. It's for us. It's more to test. You know how it's possible to book the capacities to arrange this delivery. Of course, we are very interested to expand the firm capacity in Slovakia, and we see the technical possibility for that because probably you know that there are 4 big pipelines from Ukraine to Baumgarten. Now the flow is enough for just 1 pipeline. Okay, let's keep 2 just in case, but 2 others are actually they stay idle, and we try to persuade our Slovakian colleagues just to physically reverse one of those pipelines to be able to organize the firm capacity, additional firm capacities towards Ukraine. So this is the very tough discussions, but I mean technically we don't see any problem to arrange. We don't need to build anything, we don't need to invest a lot of money, so this is just about the will how to implement this. Gas transmission modernization. So I will not kind of because you're shippers, you're not interested in that. So I will go directly to GTS repurposing. Yes, so we have quite significant amount of capacities, and we have over capacities, and we need to solve what to do with, we need to decide what to do with this system. So definitely we already started the optimization of the system because we understand that it will never be used in such a huge volumes. So we need to downsize the system, but also we're looking for new possibilities. First of all, this is the low-hanging fruits, let's say. This is biomethane, and we already discussed with several shipper interest to export biomethane from Ukraine to Europe, because we see that Europe is going to this green direction, and they will need, let's say, these carbon neutral gases, and biomethane is one of those things. And we already passed the Energy Committee of Verkhovna Rada with the law on biomethane. And we expect it will be voted this year, which will create this legal possibility to trade biomethane, because it will introduce the term biomethane, and also it will introduce the register of origin. So it will be some authority which will issue the certificate of origin of this biomethane, which actually necessary element of trading the biomethane. So if you are interested in that trading, so Nikolai will be here today. Okay, actually he has a birthday today, so congratulate him. So if you are interested in these possibilities, we are ready to discuss, because for us it's kind of new market. We need to understand how it works in Europe, what to do in Ukraine in order to be able to deliver this gas to Europe. Then next step, also yesterday the law was voted to promote the CNG, this methane for transport. Maybe it's not very interesting for shippers, but for us it's also a very interesting opportunity how to utilize our system, because in Europe the methane is used very much for transport. For example, in Italy, which is the leader in this direction, they sell about 1 billion cubic meters of gas to this as a motor fuel. Yes, so this is 1 billion cubic meters for cars and different types of vehicles. For us, it's very also interesting, because we need in order to keep the tariff lower, we need more customers. Yes, because the tariff is very simple in Ukraine. So it's like our cost divided by the volume of gas we transport. So more gas we transport, lower tariff is. So that's why we're very interested to promote new ways of using methane. We are started to think about the hydrogen technologies, and it's quite new direction, but it's very promising, especially with this Green Deal agenda. I cannot say that we already somehow advanced. We just try to understand what is happening in Europe. So we already are a member of different associations, bodies, whatever, and we try to understand how to fit our system into this new era of gas transmission. So that's why we created, and we already started discussion with neighboring TSOs, because we understand that if we want to transport gas to Europe, so it's just not about Ukraine, it's also about our neighboring countries, because we need to agree with Slovaks, with Hungarians, with Poland, how to deliver it further up to the Germany, France, or whatever. So this is the very interesting direction, but it will take some time. I think 4, 5, 6 years just to establish the proper framework for that. I think this is it from my side. thank you very much again for coming, and would be very interesting to hear from you the ideas how we can improve our business and how we can improve our market. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, nice to see you here, nice to meet you, and I'm very glad we have an opportunity to meet each other in this space. So I prepared some information for you regarding the regulatory activities and regulatory sphere in Ukraine. What is the main aim of regulatory activity for whole Ukraine? As for me, it's to be fully in line with European legislation, proper implementation, and I would say transposition of relevant EU demands of its regulations and legislation. And on this slide, I'm very proud and honored that Ukraine is on the first stage among the European community members, and this rate of implementation, it's not my own analysis, it's official report of Energy Community Secretariat, and this high stage consists of some indicators. Many of them are unbundling, so Ukrainian TSO is already unbundled and already certified and acts according to the Ukrainian law and best European practice and European regulations. Access to the system, it's on a TSO side, so TSO granted full and transparent access to GTS to all third parties and all network users in accordance with all regulation, but according to the point of view of Energy Community Secretariat, we have something to develop and to make something better, and to develop congestion management and transparency. But as you all know, we have a test version of transparency platform, and you can use it in a full version on our website. So two next indicators are related to wholesale market and retail market. TSO is not main player to develop this, but we are very we take part in this, and we announced our official position. We are in a team for implementing REMIT, and our transparency platform will be a little source of whole REMIT information which will be necessary to our regulator. About retail market, so TSO is already finished, so we have no regulated or market segments. We all of them are deregulated, so you're welcome to be a supplier to Ukrainian consumers. And the end is interconnectivity. So as Leonid already mentioned, we signed all interconnection agreements with all our adjacent TSO to grant you access to all interconnection point and to prevent our supply services in best way. So, according to the NRA statement and official position of Energy Community Secretariat in Ukrainian is fully implemented demands of balance C regarding the balancing instruments and balancing scheme. Here is the visualization of it. All of these tools are already implemented and foreseen in our GTS code. So there is one question which you address to TSO and to NRA, but why neutrality mechanism doesn't work in Ukraine, and what do we have to do to develop it and to implement in proper way. According to GTS code, we are calculated all cash inflow and cash incomes, inflow and outflow. But the numbers of its calculation or the financial result is not very nice for shippers, and the main problems or main principle which must be solved on our point of view is first is application of cash flow method, because we have a significant depth of TSOs. They also are network users, and we cannot include these debts in calculation. And if we will use only accounting method, so we have no money to spend on this to pay network users because we have no income, and if you have no money, you cannot grant it to another person. That is why we want an array, and we launched consultation with Energy Community Secretariat about implementation of cash flow method. Another principle is including of losses. As Leonidovich already mentioned, we have a huge, significant debt of TSO. TSO is a network user according to Ukrainian legislation, and TSO has a debt on daily imbalance charge. So if you don't want to include these costs in a neutrality arrangement, so let's solve this problem. First of all, in such case, we have to develop regulation that TSO is not a network user, and TSO has to have a supplier on its technical and fuel needs. In such case, we would have a strictly transparent situation when TSO works only with network users who are traders, shippers, but doesn't work as with TSO as a shipper. And last one is the pricing. This principle and this issue is very near to you because you and also TSO stress that the pricing shall be market-based. We are already a participant of gas exchange, but by this time we cannot say that it's very liquid and we can use its pricing for example, for marginal price accounting or for neutrality charge calculation. That is why we want to propose, maybe if we have no liquid exchange in Ukraine, but we will try to make it liquid. By this time, we will use some indicators from European liquid market and certain European liquid exchanges. You will ask, so you propose this principle to implement as elements of neutrality, and what are you doing not to accumulate debts? First of all, as already mentioned, is a law which was enacted 3508D. According to this law, there is it solves two of described issues, is resolving of issues of accumulation debts by TSO, but first of all, a restructuring must be must cause some positive impact, and if debt is not a problem of regulatory sphere and it's just misconduct of some market participants, such debt in our position cannot be restructuring. And second one is the accounts with a special regime. Please note that this element is very specific. It's not a market-based, but it's not a intervention of TSO in a portemonnaie of DSO. It's just a state control how the money, which is a cash flow of DSO, will be separated in accordance with the tariff structure of DSO to ensure the cash flow for GTS. The last one is not foreseen, but it's kind of the last resort, for example, for all markets. So if we have a non-compliant DSO, we have to do something, and in our point of view, the same scheme of temporary administration is already in place in bank sphere. So we in our point of view, the same mechanism can be present in gas sphere and can be effective to regulate activity of non-compliant DSO. So what are the aspects of regulatory change in 2021? Some of them Cyril already mentioned. These are neutrality and switching to energy units. Also, we want and we will make our best to facilitate trading of short-term standardized products on exchange platforms. Also, switching to full electronic documental exchange, and also, as you already know, 2 weeks ago was enacted a new law amending law on commercial accounting of usage of gas, and according to this law, data hub will be created in Ukrainian market, and if it will be created and will grant transparency of consumption of gas in Ukraine, it will be a good sign for you to be a member of retail market. Also, we want to be to provide services in a friendly manner and to provide new products such as Swift of capacities, wheeling, capacity diversion, and others. They are just products, and now we don't have an opportunity to inform you about the subject matter of this new services, but we will try to develop best European practice to give you flexibility of booking capacity and its usage. Thank you very much, and I will be available for your question after the end of presentation in Q&A session. Thanks.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Thank you for the attendance in the meeting. My name is Anton Lazarevich. I'm the head of business development unit in GTSO. And now we shortly discuss some key market developments that we have during the 2020 and our perspective on 2021. So this is kind of a short overview of the market development in 2020 and 21. So this is probably everyone knows these key indicators, but these indicators are used by GTSO to track the general information about the market from the TSO perspective. Considering the transit, our expectation in 2021 during the current circumstances, we don't put a lot of expectations that transit will be more than 40 billion cubic meters. During the, if you look at the gas consumption and gas production, so you can see that the indicators are pretty stable, just a slight decrease on the consumption indicators. And the key point and key challenge for all markets during this year is going to be the gas import to Ukraine. We actually hard to predict any kind of numbers for 2021 because of during this period until the July, it's like close to 1 billion of cubic meters are imported to Ukraine. And the same thing is to gas storage PCM indicators from this year. As you can see, our current expectation is about 19 billion cubic meters. So the next slide shows the kind of more dynamic indicators that we are checking from the TSO perspective and which we are reporting to the FED. And so on the right side, you can see the comparison of the prices on the different gas hubs. And you can see that in Ukrainian VTP, the prices are getting, the spread is decreasing and the correlation is pretty good. And on the left side, you can see the kind of dynamic and operational parameters that we can track. So from the perspective of the first half of the years comparing to the first half of the year of 2020, the active traders are slightly increased, and trading volume also is increasing, and gas consumption is also increasing. So the turnover rate comparing to the previous year is on the 8% higher, but still, we have a lot of potential to grow. And the key points that we think that will affect the market. So the actually one that happened last year. So there was no PSO for the households, and from the 1st of August this year there will be no PSO for DCO. And from our perspective, we believe that it will correlate with the upper indicators and will create more actions on the market. So the key achievement during this period of time in the market development and the TSO, it's that we finally get to the training platform for the balancing needs. And this is kind of short overview of the milestones of the processes. So firstly, it was with the support of the energy community, kind of close memorandum with the key stakeholders like NERC, Ukrainian Energy Exchange, and of course the TCO. The second point was the finally adoption of the amendment to the procurement law, which allows the GTSO to come to a trading platform, but not to balancing and buying the L7 gas only on the Prozoro platform. And the second step that we actually made with the energy community and the Ukrainian gas exchange is we signed the CGAS memorandum, which are actually defined our future goal for the market development and creating liquidity more in the region. And I just realized that I just put it before the official publication, but it's kind of benefit for kind of participating in the shippers meeting. You get the information first. And the end of the process was final placing the order of the GTSO on the trading platform. And we actually have, as Sergei Makolon mentioned, successful deals, but it's not a big amount of gas were traded, but still, we are already doing first step to participate in the gas trading market and to create liquidity and to kind of put our efforts in the market development. So the last slide is kind of briefly shows our algorithm of decision making when we are trading gas on the trading platform for balancing needs. So first of all, is of course determining the amount that we should buy or sell, and then we place in the trading platform, and as a result of the selling or buying short-term products. And as you can see, the main point is that our actions is firstly we are going on a trading platform, and only if there is no trades closed, and we don't fulfill our needs on the training platform, the second step is just using the balance and services contract just to secure the physical amount of the gas in the grid. So generally, it's a brief overview, and as Sergei Maklin mentioned, so like probably it will be better to discuss any further gas market development in the conversation. So thank you for attention, and like welcome to develop gas market Ukraine together. Thanks.
So I will continue with the part about the incremental capacities project process in more details. So here you see some statistics about the auctions, just to kind of illustrate that among the number of actually held auctions, it includes all the within day, day ahead, monthly, quarterly, and yearly auctions. So around more than 70,000 auctions were held in total, and the number of successful ones, so those auctions where the capacity was actually booked, is quite small. And among them, only 48 auctions were finished with the auction premium, and they are all in the period of January and February on our Polish-Ukraine border. In order to kind of more in a more kind of friendly way to assess the tariffs for our services, we recently launched the Tariff Calculator on our website. It is part of the transparency platform, and here you can simply check with the capacity type that you want to book. You can specify here the monthly, quarterly capacity or short-haul product, the starting day and the duration of the product. And important notice that here on the lower part, you can see the respective recalculation of the tariff on respective booking platform, because GSA and RBP are using different techniques for displaying the tariff, and it's sometimes very hard to understand and to compare the tariff level on RBP and if you simply recalculate it from our website. Now the incremental capacity process. So the incremental capacity process is, as Mr. Maklin mentioned, is a very important part for the TSO in the development of its network. On our side, we have a pretty big network, so it doesn't seem that we need to build a lot of new capacities, but there are a couple of important directions, which is the import directions from Poland and from Hungary, and important one is our cross-border points with Romania and TSO, especially the TSO Media Shuri. So your participation in incremental capacities process, especially for this interconnection point, is very important to show finally to our partner TSO that existing infrastructure should be used and should be made available to the market. We are trying to apply all possible measures on the regulatory basis, trying to convince the ACER, the Commission, the regulatory authority of Romania that it is necessary to open up the already existing infrastructure for the use of the market. But I think more important is the feedback from the actual market participant, and this procedure is a very good opportunity, very good framework of the European legislation to do it. So the procedure itself is quite lengthy, so it usually takes like 2 years from the very first opening phase of the non-binding indication submission to the date of conducting actually the incremental capacity auction. So what we are launching now is this first phase from 5th of July till end of August, when you can submit your indication, which is non-binding, to us and to our adjacent TSOs to make the assessment whether we should go on with the process or not. So if we do not receive anything by 29th August on this or that border and this is that interconnection point, we will not go further because the kind of indication should be first from the market. If we receive the indications, we will do the common report with adjacent TSO and publish it by the 25th of October. Then quite lengthy phases of cooperation with the NRA start, and in total, as I said, the process will take quite a long time. So the first milestones, as I said, are the actually indications from your side, the demand assessment made by us, and then taking the decision whether we are going on with the process or not. So we kindly ask you to participate in this process, especially on the import routes. And in order to do it as kind of user-friendly as possible, we launched these 3 ways how to submit the indications. First, you can do it through the GSA platform. So the Polish TSO has the respective functions on the platform to do the incremental capacity process through it. So important note that you can do it on all points there, not only the Ukraine-Polish border, but on all points. But you have to be registered in the GSA and to have respective contract with the gas system to operate there. So it's very useful for those market participants who are working on Ukraine-Polish border or those who have the account in the GSA who are working in Poland. The second option is submission of the indications through our information platform. So if you are working inside Ukrainian market, you can do it through it. If you do not have contract with us, if you don't have the contract with the Polish TSO, you still can submit your non-binding indication, but in a, let's say, less friendly way, just simply downloading the Excel spreadsheet from our website and putting all the information there. It's very important to know that you can, here on this non-binding phase, you can specify in your submission kind of everything you want. So all your, in the comment section, you can specify that you will be interested in booking the capacity not on the yearly basis, but on like summer season or the winter season. So it's not, it is not binding for you, but it is very important information for us how to develop the design phase of the process and how to move on with developing the infrastructure between Ukraine and our adjacent countries. So now I will pass the floor to...
Just small remark from my side. So I encourage you to participate in this increased capacity process, because for us it's very difficult to persuade our partners, TSOs of neighboring countries, to do something. For example, like both for the Poland and Hungary, we are fully ready from our side. I mean, from the Poland, today we're ready to accept 6.6 billion cubic meters of gas from the territory of Poland, but necessary pressure should be arranged from the Polish side. The same with Hungary. So we're ready to offtake gas from a Hungarian system, but some pressure need to be arranged. It requires some investments from their side, and the only way for them to justify this investment just to see that there is market demand for that. So and we already saw this approach with Slovakia when we talk about Velké Kapušany, about this virtual interconnection point, increased capacity. So they always said, we don't have any interest from the market. I mean, why do you care about that if there is shippers are not interested? So that's why please do not wait that this capacity will be created just, you know, by the wish of TSOs. Please participate, please show the interest, and it will help us to drive the discussion with TSO and create this new routes for you, because we understand that this is business for both us, yes, for shippers to deliver and trade gas, and for TSO to earn money on transmission services. Okay.
It works? Okay. Hi everyone, Nikolai Kadensky, Head of Network Development Department, TSO, and we start the last one, I hope but not least, transformation toward EU Green Deal. This week EU adopted EU Fit for 55 package of proposal to adopt energy land using industry of Europe for climate changing situation and also reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We understand that it is not like a political aspiration, but a strong regulation framework, and it will connect and will be based on existing infrastructure modernization and innovation implementation. I will start with a quote of Henry Ford. He said, "If I ask people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." It was 100 years ago, so innovations will come. My presentation is on TSO approach, how to match EU decarbonization goals with our existing toolbox. So, what we have... Работает? Слышно? What we have done for 2025, we joined several industry associations and organizations, member of Gas Infrastructure Europe, ENTSOG Observer, member of GERC, Marco Gas, Hydrogen Alliance, Ukrainian Industry Association, to start a process of knowledge transfer and directing experience, knowledge, technologies, partnership for engaging state-of-the-art companies to work with us to start process of modernization of our infrastructure. We prepared R&D program for H2 readiness. It is important to understand how it fits with requirements for renewable gases and what we have to do, define gap analysis, and find ways to be in a proper way to transport these energy carriers in 10 years. We start process of unlocking potential of biomethane and removing legislation and technical barriers to biomethane injection to the natural gas grid. It's a long way, and we started it. As our CEO mentioned, this year we hope biomethane definition and some legislation starting points will be delivered from the Parliament. We prepared the concept of our roadmap for clean development as an action plan. I will share with you our intentions, and we focus on decarbonization and clean development in our TYNTP 10-year development plan, so the regulatory body understand how it will fit our plans with EU intentions and our current action plan. So what we're planning to do, hydrogen is the top of our agenda, but as I mentioned, all the toolbox should be fitted to EU decarbonization goals. Right now we are in a process of creation ecosystem, preparing a program for our hydrogen program. We will test and define how our system is ready to energy carrier in a what level of blend, 5, 10, 15% or a pure hydrogen. Then we will practical guidance use and prepare technical policy how to use equipment for this, and develop a high H2 tolerance invest plan that will help us to spend capexes for these new energy carrier transportation abilities. Biomethane is very good idea how to increase energy security of Ukraine, how use our potential in waste, and how to convert it to the useful energy. Right now we are on the stage of development of legal basis and creating technical abilities. A lot of stakeholders involved to this project of unlocking. The estimated volume of gas is around 6-7 BCM of in equivalent of natural gas, so it's quite huge. Energy system integration last year at 8th of July, EU Commission released energy system integration strategy, which mentions that energy system and gas system will be connected, because gas system right now and gas system with the hydrogen is the best way to store electricity and dispatch it during the day, week and month. CH4 emissions is very, very important because of greenhouse effect of CH4 releases, and implementation of gas leak detection system started. Digitalization of leak detection process will start in a few years. Weak cells replacement. A lot of engineering staff on site. We have a very, very huge system, 33,000 of kilometers, more than 50 compressor stations, a lot of work to do. Energy efficiency is very important. It's one of the main pillars for decarbonization strategy of Europe. We do the same. We start from the head, create sustainable office. We start a pilot project of construction of pilot PV photovoltaic plant for our in-house loads. We're preparing guidelines for ORC cycle turbine project to use waste heat for electricity production, and started energy audits of our sites, which will be beginning for implementation of energy efficiency complex for each site. CNG is very important. Yesterday, maybe you see our parliament made a tax discounts for CNG import automobiles. We started exploitation of CNG buses this year. We will test it by ourselves. So with here skin in the game, we will prove that it is efficient and it is ecological. And after 4 years, we hope that will be no diesel techniques, so it will be hydrogen, electricity, CNG transport. Few details on H2, a lot of questions. Who will produce where and how to transport it? We consolidated on this map all the declared projects which developers provided for Ministry of Energy. Ministry of Energy verified them as approved developers, more than actually dozen of the project marked on the map, most of them on the western border, because it's easy for them to transport it to the final off-taker. It could be Germany right now, or Austria, or maybe the center will be as a hub. Also, we marked here possible routes for the transportations that will be assessed for H2 readiness in the first stage. Our hydrogen agenda, hydrogen right now is a hot topic. Everybody is discussing how it will work, how it will fit existing infrastructure. And we prepared 6 pillars for our hydrogen agenda. First of all, and the most important one, is the technical engineering one, H2 readiness. The purpose of the assessment is to determine how the blend of H2 and CH4 on our the pure hydrogen will affect our infrastructure, how it will fit our metering system, turbines, pipelines, and so on, burners, and create effective plan how to reach our goals and how to be on the same speed with EU partners. Market assessment, very important, how to understand who will produce, who will consume, and how to connect them with our pipelines, because we produce the service of transportation of energy carriers. We joined a project with EBRD. They are detecting the possible off-takers in Ukraine who will consume. We understand it's ammonia producers, refineries. Also integration to the EU ecosystem. We started as observer and participating in several industry associations and SOC prime movers activity to be on the same speed with our colleagues. Harmonization of H2 standards, H2 hydrogen backbone, and also we started a project with our colleagues from Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Germany to prepare one road to export from Ukraine to Germany. H2 equipment tolerance, it's a part of H2 readiness, and H2 readiness for the future. We want to prepare technical policies that will create the guidelines to procure in the future only equipment that should be tolerant to H2 needed level. And hydrogen technology cluster is our pilot project, which is aimed to attract state-of-the-art technologies and to obtain an experience how to work with them on our existing site. It will be like a brownfield transformation project because we have a lot of brownfields and we want to use it in the future and get for them second life. Thank you for attention. I want to, in Finnish says the future arrives too fast and we have to be prepared. So maybe it's not too early to start today. Okay, thank you.
So now we are moving to the Q&A session. I think we will do like this. We will start with the questions from the audience, and then we will come to the those questions that were asked in YouTube. Do we have the second microphone, or should we pass this one?
Yes, we have.
Okay, so please, who wants to ask the question, please raise your hand. We will pass the microphone to you. Yeah, thank you.
Dear guest, TSO of Ukraine team, thank you very much for the presentation today. It was very useful. I'm Helena Dimchenko from Trafigura. Unfortunately, I don't have my badge on me today. I have a question to address to Roman regarding the neutrality charge. So, first, I just want to check that my understanding of it is correct, that you're not going to introduce any changes to the neutrality mechanism calculation right now, but it's currently not working, and this is largely because of the debts of the DSOs. And it has to be enacted from the 1st of October. So the question is it going to be enacted or not? And that's it.
Thank you for your question. Thank you for your question. It's the main question will be it affected or not. It's a question for an array. So because implementation and enactment was already postponed once, and we prepared our proposal amendments to GTS code and transferred it to an array. An array is still working with them. So, the end decision, or final decision of an array, we don't know now. But Law 3508 is already enacted, and we are waiting for signing of president. After that, some debts will be restructured and it will influence on neutrality calculation also. So if the situation will not change in a positive way, so we offer an array to step status of network user of DSO, not to facilitating debts of this network user and not to share its negative effect to all other network users. In such case, we proposed an array to establish regulation on enforcing the DSO to have a supplier, and in another way, if it would not be a supplier, so we have to foresee some state mechanism. Maybe it will be a supplier of last resort for DSO and administration regime, because DSO is not in line. What is the main problems with DSO? TSO is a regulatory part of business, so it has a structure of its tariff. In its structure, an array foresees some money for fuel gas. TSO stresses that it's not enough to cover its needs. It's not an activity of TSO to calculate tariff, to calculate cash flow, and to review is it true or not. It's an array activity. So an array has to check is it enough to cover or not. If it's not enough, so the TSO has no source of money to pay. It's kind of a state or regulatory sphere problem, and if it it will be checked and independent auditor will confirm it, so a state will grant some money from budget to cover these needs. In such case, there would be no debt, and neutrality mechanism can start from 1st of October. If not, so we will be in position to recommend an array maybe to postpone it once more. Because it's a network users, it's a debt payment of network users, so tariff, in our tariff, there is no money for balancing. So the source to cover balancing action of TSO are money which are collected as a neutrality, as a imbalance charge. So, and if network user doesn't pay imbalance charge, so we have no money to spend to buy gas for next period. In such case, what option we have? Not to use money to modernize or to maintain our system, it's not good. So in such case, we will make harm not only to operator but to the whole market, because the operator will not be able to provide services. That is all.
Thank you. I just wanted to check that, make sure that the debts will not be included and redistributed between the market players, like for us to cover that debt. But I understand that's not the desire of the operator right now. So I think that was my initial intent, to make sure that that was it. And
yes. Solving problem of debts is maybe a main activity of my unit right now. So each day, each month, I informing an array, ministry, and other official bodies in Ukraine about this problem, because ministry granted state property delivery system to the TSO, and it has to control how this delivery system is operating. An array granted a regulatory sphere, so it has to control how it is it activity of the TSO in line or not. So we applied 3 or 4 times for an array to make some revisions, and some of our applications were done, and acts of revision are published on the website of an array. So such debt payment, it's not just a calculation and point of view of TSO, it's already acted, and it's an official document of an array. So also we are in court disputes with our TSOs, but situation is not changing. If there are no money, so you cannot spend them. Vitaly.
Hi everybody, Vitaly Radchenko, CMS. Sergey, I joined not from the beginning, but a few of the clients were asking about Romania. What is the status of interconnection agreement with Romania? Anything going to happen before 1st of October? Can you provide, please, a short update, if possible?
If we talk about the Romania, so there are several interconnection points. So ISACCHA is operational. We even offered the quite small but firm capacities, and we plan to have some tests during next days. Regarding mediation to read, the problem is the same. Unfortunately, the Romanian operator, they insisted to use their gas metering station, which we cannot accept because technical condition or technical specification of our station is much better than the Romanian one. Also, their station located in 37 kilometers out of the border, and there are 5 valves before this metering station, and some leakages were detected in this valve. So it means that, I mean, we cannot measure gas leaving Ukraine somewhere, far away in Romania after some valves, leaking. Also, there is no possibility to measure the pressure and volume of gas in this 40 kilometers pipeline. So it means that even because of the line pipe changes, it could be differences in measurements. So that's why we propose them fair solution, which actually used in many countries. Actually, they use the same solution at the border between Romania and Bulgaria, and we use the same solution at the border between Ukraine and Romania. So it means that when we physically deliver gas to Romania, we measure on our side. When they deliver to us, they measure on their side. But unfortunately, we do not have the positive response from Romanian side. They insist that since Romania is member of EU and we are not the member of EU, they must use their metering station. But we said that the acceptance of country to European Union does not change the technical quality of the metering. So it's not like, oh, today it's kind of EU metering station. So that's why I really don't understand why they are so stubborn on that. Probably it's not related actually to metering. Maybe it's related to some other topics.
And if I may add, so we are also going through this bureaucratic procedures that we should go with it. So we had the inspections. We came to Media Show Read and to all the way of the pipeline between the border and the station. We invited Romanian colleagues to take over. We had the audits of 2 stations. Now we provided the results of the audits to the energy community, to the European Commission, to the national regulators of Ukraine and Romania, and we are trying to initiate the discussions not only between the TSOs, but because we simply do not see that we will manage to convince them, but to raise the question to higher level.
Wow, no question. So it means that we work very transparently and you understand how we operate. So it's great.
Just a very short one regarding capacities. It's just maybe not a question, more of an observation that it could be very useful if we could do the same as we do, like for example with capacities that we buy on RBP, like from VIP Betek exit. Like we transfer day-ahead capacities, month-ahead bomb capacities. It's not available right now in with the capacities that we purchase from the TSO of Ukraine. It's like an observation that could be also implied here. It would be very useful for shippers. Maybe not for you, but for us it could be very useful.
The transfer of capacities?
Yes. Secondary capacity transfer. When, for example, we buy quarterly capacity and then within this quarter, we transfer like 1 month or 2.5 months or just a day to another trader, which is actually possible with the capacities we purchase from exit capacity from VIP Barrack, for example. We can do it
No, we have the transfer you can specify by month. So if you buy quarterly, then you can transfer the months, but not the daily capacity.
And the month you can do it only by the 25th of the month following the delivery month, which doesn't make sense because the capacity auctions for monthly are held later at the exit VIP barrack, for example. And there you can transfer even like within day, even like 7 hours of capacities, you can also do that. So, and this is not that flexible here at the moment, but as a step towards development that could be implemented as well.
Okay, we will consider it. Thank you. Good idea.
We have here the same question. Maxim, I will add.
Yeah, GTSOU team, thank you very much for this meeting. It was very interesting. So we have one question related to the balancing price. So we agree that existing mechanism should motivate the companies to be balanced and to motivate their clients to forecast more efficiently. But do you have any further plans to adjust this mechanism and to make the system more efficient?
What does it mean, more efficient?
I mean, if you look at the marginal prices, the marginal price of purchase and marginal price of the sale, it's the difference between these prices is very, very big. And as of now, it's and it's quite challenging to work with this kind of figures. And do you have any plans to modify this mechanism?
I fully understand the concerns of the shippers, and we had very tough discussion, like saying that we charge a lot, but the essence of balancing TSO, we do the marginal balance. Okay, so our idea is to motivate shippers to balance themselves and provide the maximum instruments for that. And actually, that's why we fully supported the idea of introduction of the within-day market, day-ahead market, where shippers can buy necessary gas cheaper than it will be the balancing price from the TSO. But the root of this problem, it's not because of the significant spread on the price. The root of the problem is that nobody really cares about the imbalances. The question is why the imbalances appear. So because there is some problem with the proper forecasting. I mean, we are not forecasting party. DSOs, they are forecasting party for non-delimited consumers. Also, the final consumers and delimited consumers, so they also they should provide their suppliers with the data which would allow the shippers to balance their portfolio themselves. But nobody really cares, and what I've heard that from the market, that for example, when they try to impose some in the contract, delivery contracts to the final consumer, some kind of clauses that, guys, if you will be unbalanced, then we will charge you additional. So the final consumer says, oh, okay, I don't want to work with you, I will just go to another shipper. But this is not a problem of TSO. This is the problem of the market. I understand. So we do the same for the electricity market. So when they try to say, okay, please include in our contract that you will have some fines for the unbalancing for the electricity. We say, okay, we really don't care because we have several other guys which are ready to cover the imbalances without us. So this is the market demand. So I mean that this is not our goal to earn money on that. We really don't want to be a gas trader, so we just want to be the transport company, and we think that these imbalances should be managed by the market themselves. So we see a lot of opportunities for shippers to manage these imbalances. For example, create the balancing groups, trade in the market, improve the information exchange with the final consumers in order to react quickly on the changes in their consumption. So we try to develop and support a lot of different mechanisms how shippers could work better in order to minimize their exposure to this imbalancing. But not everything depends on us. Yeah? So as I said, forecasting, this is up to DSOs, and I fully agree with you that their forecasting is not very good. But I must to say that if imbalance is created by the not proper forecasting, we do not charge anything for that. So that's why you're neutral to that. So you're just exposed to the real imbalances created by final consumers. And from my point of view, this is the goal. This is the shippers have to kind of create their own dispatching centers, monitor the consumption, and install these daily or online meters from the consumers and receive this information. I mean, this is, at least we've been in several European traders, so we saw their dispatching centers, it was even bigger 2 times than our dispatching center, because they have a lot of final consumers, and they see what is the consumption, what is the existing, their imbalancing position. Immediately they go to market, buy this or sell this gas. So, because in Ukraine it's daily balancing, but in some countries there are hourly balancing. Yeah, so that's why it will become even strict. So our system is quite big, so yes, we can handle significant imbalances, physical imbalances in the system, but it will change very soon. So we are on the way to optimize our system. So that's why in the future we will not be able to manage such significant daily imbalances that we currently have. So that's why I encourage you to invest in own dispatching centers, invest in a relationship with the final consumers, and try to teach them how to work. Try to push for these amendments to their contracts with additional fines for imbalances and stuff like that. Because it's not very difficult for them to predict their consumption, or at least inform you about the changes in their consumption profile. They just don't want to do this.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you, Sergey. My name is Oksana. I'm from Expo Ukraine. In addition to what you said, thank you very much for your answer. It's pretty comprehensive. But the only thing I wanted to add and ask you, we made a search around Europe, and we found out that actually in Hungary, for example, there is a 14% difference between the prices of buy and sell. And here what we have, except of this 20% what we have between the marginal prices, we also have percentage on top of the balancing itself. So in our experience, the end users, how much they try, they cannot reach the 3% difference. They usually go into the 5%, and what we get is the more than 40% difference at the end, sometimes 50, sometimes 80. For the last months, we received like 80 hryvnias VAT including difference for the balancing. This was the cost. So what should be the margin? It's too high. So I agree there should be a punishment, but it should be in line with the European practice.
I mean, the problem is that we don't have the local indicator for the market price. So that's why we are tied to the NCG. And sometimes, like in January, during the summer, so we had such a situation where actually there was incentive for shippers to create the imbalances artificially to offtake gas from us, because we had the cheaper gas. So that's why we had to increase this margin in order not to allow shippers to do what they did. So last year they offtake, last summer they took from our system 1.5 billion cubic meters, and actually it fully killed the market, because nobody was importing, because why to import? Let's take gas from the TSO and this is it, good business. So that's why it was not our intention to get additional money from shippers. Our intention was just to make our price not attractive for shippers, not to stimulate this offtakes from our system. And that's, if we would have the real market price in Ukraine, we will say, okay, it will be like Ukrainian market price plus minus, I don't know, 10%. But the problem is that sometimes, since we're tied to NCG, sometimes the Ukrainian VTP price so different from NCG that even with 10% margin, so we are becoming, our price is actually better than the price at the Ukrainian market, and then shippers just try to get arbitrage to sell gas to us or take gas from us, and this is not really, this is full disaster for us, because for example, like last year we were able to buy gas very cheap, but I mean, first billion was 1.5 billion was taken by shippers, the next 1.1 billion was taken by TSOs in February, March. So we said, guys, come on. And we made a very good investment. We bought cheap gas and we expected to use it in the future as a fuel gas, but for some reason we just, you know, have no gas. So that's why it's our intention is not to get additional money for shippers. We're really not interested in that. We have enough money in our tariff. So we just need to protect the market, because if, for example, our price will be, as I said, more attractive than the local price, then nobody will trade. I mean, everybody will just take gas from us and we will become the biggest trader in Ukraine. And we are not interested in that.
Thank you very much for your answer. I just wanted to know that actually what you're saying is true, but it is not fair what the participants were misusing the system. But what is now happening is also not fair. We are asking to make some steps towards us and find some point in between.
Yes, I fully agree that we need to work together, because you know, I was really surprised when the shipper said, oh, you know, why we should care about the debts of DSOs. We are shippers, we are not DSOs. But our response is that we are together, we are responsible for the gas market. Because why we should care about that of DSOs? I mean, we are the same as you. We just the operator of the system. We just transport gas. So why should we care about the DSOs? Why do you think that they offtake our gas? They offtake the shipper's gas. I mean, so that's why it should be our joint position how to make this market operational. It includes the development of the real price indicator for Ukrainian market. It's about creating the liquidity in the market. It's about solving the problem with DSOs as well. We need support of you as well, because you know, we cannot fight ourselves. So we're fully open. I mean, as I said, so we don't have any intention to make money on this balancing. We understand that one day neutrality charge will be implemented and we will give this money back to the market. So this is it.
Thank you, but this is not very true distribution, correct distribution, because at the end we implement all this penalty to the end users, which actually not very correct. It is better to really to make it into the neutrality cost than to make such a big penalty to the end users, which, I don't know, the NERC should somehow save. So what we actually want to offer is, we already increased, and you know that Expo Ukraine actually was pro that decision to make the bigger percentage. But then these two prices came from...
yeah, but they came from, as I said, they came from because of this, the lack of the local market.
I understand, but
price
the question is different. As the system is every day, it is short or long, right? The price should be just one. There cannot be two prices. It is not.
Let's make
really
it one price, but which one? I mean,
as it was before, just the one basic price, and the percentage up to 20%. It's fine.
We had several cases. For example, at the January, I mean, the first part of our life, we had the price which reflected our purchase cost. And very often, this purchase cost, it was lagging the market dynamics. So, as I said, we bought gas very cheap, then our costs are very cheap, then market can enjoy, okay, let's take the
But the 20% is much higher than it was before. When you suffer these losses,
No,
I agree. It is not fair.
I can remember you in January 2020. A lot of smart traders tried to sell to us I don't know in the volumes, but the amount was 350 million hryvnias of additional cost. You know, at that time, our price was 26% higher than the market price, and everybody, okay, you know, let's have fun, let's create the positive imbalance, and let's.
Sure, I remember.
Yeah, so yes, we also remember. So and now we won 4 cases in the Supreme Court, which actually said that we were, because then we reduced the price and we paid, but based on the market price. We didn't pay on this artificial preliminary balancing price. So that's why, as you say that maybe if now you think that the situation is unfair from your side, but also I can remember you several situations when it was unfair to our side. So that's why we need to find the solution which will be fair for both sides. And as I said, the first step, we need to have this local price indicator, which will be fair for you and for us. And
Agree.
To get this fair market indicator, we need to develop the market, the organized market, exchange. We need to create liquidity, and personally, I fully support the idea of gas market release program to push the producers, because the idea was also to impose this obligation to sell gas on exchange for importers as well. But I said probably it's not quite fair. So let's start from the producer that would sell I don't know, 5–10% of their production on within day and day ahead market, just to bring this liquidity there. Because now we are probably the only guy at the day ahead at within day.
No, the only, but
no. Today I just saw that there is no quotes right now.
Actually, we are also going to participate in this trade, and thank you very much for your participation. Do you willing to increase the volumes if we want to trade more than the small amounts which you are now offering?
I mean, that the volumes depends on the size of imbalances shippers create. So sometimes it could be 1 million per day, it could be 10 million per day. It depends on what is happening in the market. So, but if I would go to the market today, to that market with 10 million cubic meters, I mean, it will be a very strange situation. So as I said, so we were able to sell just 70,000.
50 and then 20.
Yeah, so that's why.
It's just the beginning. I'm pretty sure it will
so
change.
we must. I mean, according to the law, we must go to exchange, and we will do that. But sometimes it's also not very easy because now we have some also internal discussions, so it's not as easy as it could be. So that's why we are working on that, as I said, step by step. And yes, we're very glad that you also will join this day ahead within the market, and we'll see what will happen. But we need also some additional players. And according to the law now, all state-owned companies can use this within day ahead market. I don't know if they started to use this, but technically, according to the law, they may use not just Prozora, but also the gas exchange. So step by step.
Try to open escrow account on Russia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if I may add all that, so actually, yeah, we will try to work on the kind of basic principle like this. We will go with all our need for sell or buy to the short-term product market, and then when we cannot cover it there, we will go to the balancing contract. Just very simple logic. And Gregor wanted to ask.
Yes, actually, hello to all. Gregor Weinzettel from the Energy Community Secretariat, and big thank you to the great partner, TSO in Ukraine. So I just would like to also say a few words on the hard work which you have done and the good cooperation which we had together. Because maybe also to the trading environment, one note, changing all this environment in which we are operating together was quite tough. Changing the procurement law was a big thing. We worked all together hardly on that. And myself, I've worked for the European Energy Exchange before. And this is why I want to mention that you need to be also a bit patient with liquidity development. Actually, my question was about the gas release program. But Sergei already answered it and spoke about that. So I would also like to mention that we are starting now again discussing exactly this element which was used in each kind of exchange market development on the spot and within day market in order to kickstart proper liquidity and price indexation. And what I would like to ask actually to the audience and the traders, have you already informed yourself about what kind of gas release program would be useful for your operations? Because there are different mechanisms to set it up. The Balkan Gas Hub in Bulgaria did it in their own way. The Romanian Energy Exchange and BRM did it in their own way. Poland has a gas release program on their platforms. So it's like this typical chicken and egg problem, and it's easy to blame one or another party, but I think, as Sergei also said, the market needs to work together with the main partner, who is the TSO. And now this is my question to the traders, actually. Maybe one of you can say whether you had already some ideas or what would be your wish about the volumes, because you also need to be careful with that. You don't want that with an oversupply and liquidity on within day and day ahead, the prices will just drop heavily and you will lose your profit position. So maybe you have a few points, and thank you for the great presentations.
Any volunteers to give the feedback? Who should sell and how much?
Well, as I said, I've heard some different opinions on this gas market, gas release program. Some extreme ideas that UGV have to sell everything at the gas exchange, and I mean everybody, even private companies, should sell everything at the gas exchange. And but I think that unfortunately right now, when we still have unregulated retail and district heating companies, but with special prices, we need to understand where Naftogaz can get those amounts in order to supply gas to the population quite cheap and to district heating quite cheap, and even for DSOs quite cheap, because in the tariff of TSO the gas is calculated for, I think, at 7,000 hryvnias, but now they cannot buy 7,000, 15,000, 14,000. So that's why we need to understand that UGV and Naftogaz also have some obligations, social obligations for Ukraine. But so my proposal is just to start from 5–10% of the local production, but particularly impose the obligation to trade within day and day ahead market. Because now they trade, but they trade in different silos, you know, for each particular production company, which actually doesn't bring any value. But if it will be day ahead within day market, so I think that supply-demand side will just meet each other, and it would allow us to go further.
Gregor, could you please pass the microphone?
Microphone. Thank you, Boris from Anka Group. Thank you for the presentation. We all have one problem with imbalances. So my proposition is to make a market of imbalances for the last month, for example. If one company have positive imbalance for one day, and other company has negative imbalance for one day, they can make purchase or sale. Yeah. So if you don't want to make money on these imbalances, it's good.
Yeah, this is one of the possibilities for that, and actually we worked, I mean, or 3 years ago we worked like that. But unfortunately, this approach is forbidden by the European regulation, by the balancing network code. So the idea is that as soon as the day is ended, so we need to calculate imbalances, and this is it. So it's not kind of our desire. This is the requirement of the European network code, balancing network code. So there is no such provision to have the possibility to trade imbalances. So this is the, you can, if you will find this in this directive, I can discuss it. But my understanding, and we spent, let's ask Gregor. So, but my understanding that it's prohibited by the law to have this trade, because it will fully kill then the daily market, because nobody will trade gas, but everybody will just trade these imbalances. So that's why it was not our decision, it was decision of the regulator based on the recommendation of energy community. So this is the market. Gregor, would you like to comment?
Yes, I wanted to comment on the question. I think what you're asking is just you should create a balancing group with some of the companies that is here. Then you will just neutralize your imbalances just by making balance group.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, balancing group could be negative, could give negative imbalance in one day for all participants of this group. It's
can be, but can be that in one day you have negative and another
positive for all.
Yeah, this is like in Austria.
We are talking about one company have negative imbalance, the other company have positive imbalance, or one group maybe.
Yeah, but if one company have negative, another company have positive, in one day it will be neutralized and nothing will be paid to TSO.
Yeah, so actually I'm very surprised that the balancing group mechanism is not used in Ukraine. So yeah, it's used, but DTEC created one, I'm really surprised why Naftogaz still have not created the balancing group for, I mean, entire, because it's very funny when the UGV have the positive and Naftogaz Postach have negative, and they pay us both, and we're happy with that. So
but it's not
actually,
our goal.
there were calculations made in order to check whether it's worse or not, and as of now, its calculation showed that not really.
Not really.
Yeah. And the comment with regard to the question of Gregor, actually I wanted to comment, but Sergey said where we can take the gas for gas release program. On the one side, we should be a social company and we should sell to population and provide good prices. On the other hand, there should be liquidity on commercial market. Then there is a question, Naftogaz should be commercial company or social company?
Yeah. As I said, this is the biggest
first question.
So that's why I mean that it should be somehow it should be start from some not significant amounts, like 5%, 10%, just to drive it. I mean, but I fully agree that Naftogaz. Yes, but as I said, so it's like it's not developing the within day-ahead market. So we need something particular for these markets, because you know you are selling in months ahead or something like that. So this is
maybe I can comment on that. I think kind of on both questions. This daily balancing mechanism and especially the balancing code, I think the importance is to give it time to develop. So it was just launched. In any market in Western Europe, it took time till this daily balancing mechanisms really kicked off, till the market participants got used to this element of trading, and it's actually made for that someone is doing a profit, someone is doing the loss. It should just not be the TSO. You know, it's actually giving the potential to the market and to traders which have kind of good risk curves to optimize their portfolios. On the answer on the gas release program, also from the Secretariat side, we highly appreciate Naftogaz trading amounts on the, let's say, OTC market segment, and we very often said that we fully support that. For the day-ahead and within-day market, it would be significant less volumes needed in order to kick it off. So meaning that these amounts which would be asked kind of to be put there would be very low, but would have a very high impact. And in fact, the Western European markets, also in Austria, they started, like OMV did a small gas release program on SEC in order just to kickstart the volumes. And then it's actually, I mean, there's a slogan, in fact, these platforms are structured in a way to also have control over your own market, to be able to influence the price and not always look at NCG, TTF. I think if the community could come together and find a reasonable amount without putting a burden on Naftogaz, and I fully agree, there are many burdens put now on Naftogaz to solve many issues in the market. I believe that kind of commonly together, some reasonable amounts will solve just many issues for the whole community of gas traders, TSOs in Ukraine. So.
But just comment on intraday, and they had each day were putting volumes on this separate platform. Just the demand for intraday and day ahead is much lower. It's in thousands, not in millions.
Yeah. So this is the problem. We need somehow to boost this demand and supply side. So.
Everywhere else they had is the most liquid product, and some have the only liquid product.
Can you use the microphone?
I'm just saying that in other hubs, liquid hubs, the ahead is the most liquid product, and in many hubs it is the only liquid product.
No, I mean that.
It's totally different at the moment.
Yeah, but they had within there, it's a particular instrument for managing imbalances. So that's why, I mean, it should encourage you, shippers, to trade there with imbalances in order not to get the bills from us for the marginal balances. So that's why.
It's the way it should develop.
Yeah. So that's why I really don't understand why to pay us, for example, 16,000 hryvnias for the balancing if it is possible to buy gas at the exchange for 14,000. So, I mean.
You know, there is one problem. Within Ukraine, we have very small fees in storage, so it's not a problem to take positive imbalance or to retreat negative imbalance, not even within the market, within our own capacities, yeah, for every trader. But the problem is prognosis on the one side. The second one problem is that we don't use maybe sorry, may I speak to Russian?
Yes, sure.
Вторая проблема — это то, что мы не используем европейские единицы. А калорийность газа зачастую, которая существует в Украине, она очень сильно колеблется. И когда вводились вот эти вот penalties, да, которые там, 20%, да, один из больших промышленных потребителей, он на эту проблему указывал. Поэтому прогнозирование по промышленным клиентам, оно зачастую превращается в рулетку. Дай бог, ну, иногда даже в русскую рулетку. Поэтому тут проблема не в том, чтобы... Ну, и при этом как бы у нас вторая проблема, то, что у нас одни из самых больших, в принципе, penalties в Европе, да? При том, что мы не можем прогнозировать.
Ну, подождите, тут я вот не совсем согласен, что мы не можем прогнозировать. Да? Что значит прогнозировать, допустим, химическое предприятие? Ну, понятное дело, там есть главный инженер, у него есть задача там, выпустить столько это. Да? То, что он не хочет это делать, вопрос следующий. Далее, никто не мешает поставить счетчик с онлайн считыванием данных. И даже если он неправильно спрогнозировал, каждые там, 15 минут у вас будет идти факт потребления, вы будете понимать, что он уже выходит там, за свой там, этот и вгоняет вас, соответственно, в небаланс. И вы можете уже, соответственно, там, подкупать, либо там, сбрасывать объемы каким-то образом, ну как хотите, в подземку, на рынке, там, ну, возможно. Да, то есть, ну, я считаю, что все эти проблемы artificial, да, ну, никто в Европе не прогнозирует потребление завода, да, то есть, ну как его можно спрогнозировать, если как бы это зависит там, от производственного цикла. В основном прогнозирование идет на уровне так называемых non-daily metered consumers, да, то есть это в основном население. Да, то есть население, но там есть профили. Да, и понятно, что если у вас там два там, клиента населения, то можем попасть в большой небаланс, потому что профиль, ну там, человек образно уехал там, на дачу, ну, у него нет потребления. Да. Вот. А если у вас миллионы клиентов, допустим, как у Нафтогаза или там у РГК, так, ну, понятно, там профиль, они попадают практически в 99%.
Я думаю, те, кто поставляет газ населению, с вами немножко не согласятся, я с ними общался. Мы не поставляем газ населению, но ситуация с промышленными потребителями тоже совсем не такая. То есть для клиентов с потреблением от 50 тысяч, они зачастую ежемесячно меняют поставщика. Я уже не говорю за бюджетные компании, да, которые большую долю занимают. И им физически ставят за свой счет они не поставят.
Ну,
поэтому
смотрите,
тут...
я это все понимаю,
Да.
но давайте не с больной головы на здоровую, да, то есть
Я
это
понимаю.
бизнес ваш,
Я согласен.
вы продаете клиентам, вы там с ними решаете, да, то есть у меня с вами взаимоотношения, чтобы ваши вход и выход в систему были сбалансированы, потому что мне это нужно для того, чтобы я мог гарантировать стабильную, скажем, работу систем. А как вы работаете с клиентами, они вам дают прогнозы, не дают прогнозы. Причем здесь оператор ГТС? Я вообще не знаю, где эти клиенты.
Согласен. И поэтому у вас есть очень эффективный механизм отключения от заявок тех компаний, поставщиков, которые, то есть сначала приходит предупреждение, если у вас не баланс больше 30%. И на третий день, насколько я знаю, вы просто отключаете от подачи номинации.
У нас
а потом
не так.
отключается
У нас
клиент.
финансовая гарантия. Вот, если накопленный небаланс превышает финансовую гарантию, то тогда мы значит, да, отключаем от системы. То есть мы даем вот этот люфт финансовой гарантии. А потом, да, говорим, что недостаточно финансового обеспечения и выкидываем клиента из системы. Ну, для того, чтобы наши риски нет. Потому что у нас есть примеры компаний, там, Техпромгаз или Промтехгаз, я уже не помню. Насоздавали небалансов на 250 миллионов гривен и успешно растворились и так далее. Да, и по идее это деньги как бы ваши, да, то есть я же через нейтральность это вам выставлю, ну, должен выставить, потому что мы как оператор работали по закону. В то время просто было так прописано regulations, что можно было давать гарантию на 1 день поставки. Да? Это потом мы добились уже месячной поставки, хотя все были против, говорят, это же нам банковские гарантии создавать надо. Вот. А мы сказали, что, ребята, смотрите, вот наш рынок, нас обманули на 250 миллионов гривен. Да? И это могло быть идти как снежный ком. И по идее мы как оператор должны через нейтральность все выставить на вас. И вы за таких жуликов должны будете платить. Я думаю, это не в ваших интересах точно.
Согласен. Но у меня вот есть тогда вопрос, раз уж вот предыдущее там в таком ключе как бы возникла, да, то есть проблема предыдущего года. С 19, если не ошибаюсь, января, да, оператор ГТС закупил услуги по балансировке у Нафтогаза.
Ну, не так, скажем так, был проведен тендер.
Да, конечно, я не говорю, да, все правильно, на прозоро, да, то есть по результатам тендера выиграл Нафтогаз, да, я как бы тут абсолютно никаких вопросов нету. Но у нас минус 10, минус 20, плюс 10, плюс 20% осталось, да, то есть если все-таки функции Нафтогаза это балансировать оператора ГТС, да, почему остались вот эти вот пенальти с минус 10, минус 20, плюс 10, плюс 20?
Вопрос к регулятору. Насколько я понимаю, должен быть механизм наказания. Да? Если просто покупать по NCG и продавать там по NCG плюс Transportation Cost, то в чем функция наказания? Это фактически market price. Да? То есть тогда никто не будет заниматься торговлей на рынке, а все будут, соответственно, балансироваться у нас, да, если нет инцентива. Поэтому 20% осталось для того именно, чтобы у трейдеров был инцентив самим как бы покупать газ на рынке, в подземке, где угодно, а не для того, чтобы приходить к нам балансироваться. Мы не хотим никого балансировать, мы хотим, чтобы мы там занимались своим бизнесом, а вы своим. Поэтому, как бы, я же повторюсь, да, вот если у вас есть небаланс, вот сейчас можно выходить на биржу, на Within Day Ahead Market, и не закрываться у нас по 16 тысяч, а закрывайтесь по 14 тысяч.
Поверьте, никто у вас закрываться не будет. Более того, я могу купить и в PSG, и все поставщики, они держат в PSG, и достать с PSG там 90 с копейками гривен заплатить за разницу, да, то есть это не проблема. Так же, как и закачать в PSG, заплатить 150 гривен. Я уже сказал, то есть это не проблема. Это не... Поэтому рынок Day Ahead, он не функционирует within day, да, то есть он не функционирует в том режиме, для того, чтобы обеспечивать необходимость балансировки. Компания собственными ресурсами может балансировать. У нас нету проблемы, допустим, как в Европе, да, то есть по дорогим услугам закачки и подъема. То есть у нас тут в этом проблематики вообще не существует. Поэтому, собственно, и рынок within day, он, скажем, достаточно маленький, да, иногда он вообще в определенные дни отсутствует. Вот именно по этой причине. Потому что тут проблематики нету вообще никакой. И его ликвидность, это, он в принципе как таковой, с учетом тех тарифов, которые сейчас существуют, он, он может не быть какой-то компании, дополнительно нужно получить денежную ликвидность или откупить, допустим, срочно, но это не в рамках того покрытия небалансов. Для покрытия небалансов он совершенно не нужен, зачастую.
Смотрите, я понимаю вашу позицию, но как бы у нас регулирование рынка такое, что мы обязаны выходить именно на эти два рынка для того, чтобы покрывать маржинальные небалансы. Да, вот у нас сейчас в основном идут положительные небалансы, соответственно, мы обязаны этот газ там продавать, либо если нет ликвидности, то отдавать его балансирующему поставщику, который сейчас является Нафтогаз Украины. Поэтому этот рынок нужен нам, да, то есть мы просто обязаны его использовать. Да. Трейдеры, я понимаю, что они могут использовать, что они хотят, что им выгодно. Да. Вот, поэтому как-то так.
Спасибо большое.
Да.
Serdar, you had a question?
Hello. Okay, sorry about that. Just a couple of comments. In general, just about this, the balancing group. That sounds like, overall it's a good idea, but the company that will be responsible for that, so that we have very limited amount of companies who can do it, that you have to take care is like, one of the things is just the entire exposure of the group. So you have to take care that the guys pay you on time, do everything on time, and this. So you have really to have a very high risk appetite to manage it, and possibilities to somehow mitigate, mitigate your exposure, mitigate the defaults and everything. About the within market, it's actually we are in the process, so we would like also to start, but it takes time, with Ocean Bank is a very nice bank, but the issue there comes that a lot of Ukrainian companies, they from my experience, that if they don't need to, because you need to put the money on escrow account, transfer, okay, but then why to put the money there, or why to do it? We will try, we'll find out, we will solve it somehow. So far for this moment, the market needs a little bit to, I think, understand and develop. So this will take some time, but really this. Within day ahead will become quite significantly important, I think, during the winter period when the daily consumption will just jump around significantly. So,
yeah. And regarding the balancing group, I fully agree that this is the idea of balancing group, that only all the imbalances would be netted, and yes, but we need to have somebody who will pay just in case. Yes. So, but as I said, the tech they created this balancing group because they trust each other. I mean, this is one group and so forth. And also for example, let's say Trafigura met Axpo, I don't know, Angie, you, I hope, trust each other somehow. To extent. Yeah, to some limit. So maybe, I mean, you can start from the guys you trust. So it's not required to include everybody in the balancing group. But I mean, if you see the value from such a balancing group, because the main idea of balancing group just to make these portfolios bigger enough in order to minimize this volatility of the balancing.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are not so much. I don't know. Maybe Axpo is much more active in the end customer segment. So that's why I mean we are just kind of yeah, we pretty much trust each other. Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, we won't be able to balance out.
I think we can now take some questions from the chat. So there was a number of questions from Georg, from Gunvor. So first one is, can you tell if there is any tariff updates planned?
So far, no. We have a tariff established for 5 years. So till the end of 2024, we don't expect significant changes, at least for the transmission tariffs.
The second one, I will cover it. What are the plans for the nomination platform update? As we said, we during 2020 and 2021 finished the kind of matching process in EDIGAS with European like EU TSOs. And now, as part of our electronic document exchange and public contract process, we want to implement the EDIGAS for nominations as well. This is a very challenging task because in Ukraine we have a different how it's called, like technological decision for the electronic certificates than in Europe. So we have this some kind of temporary solution in our information platform, and now to do it as a standard EDIGAS like nomin, nomres messages, we need to find this solution. But we are working on that, and we plan to do it. Another question again from Georg. Finally, any change to improve matching process? For instance, short-haul capacity shippers are the last ones to apply for injection withdrawal capacity if there is a high demand. Well, for this I will answer myself as well. For short-haul product, it's they apply the last one, but it is the most interruptible one, and it is the cheapest one. So there should be some kind of pros and cons of this product. It is like several times cheaper than the standard capacity. If you want to do it earlier and to guarantee that you receive the capacity, then you can pay more and use the firm product. The next question is about the energy units from Andrea from Uniper. So when is the final switch to energy units planned to be operational? Is there any indication when the law 2554 will be approved and active? Maybe Roma can answer it, the question on energy units.
Colleagues, this draft law was enacted voted in a first reading, but after that it was sent to committee for development, and we don't know about the plans of Energy Committee of Parliament, but as far as we understand, the problem is a methodology of standard conditions of gas and problems with households and payments in address to TSO. So we are waiting for development of this law, and we have only our approach that it will be enacted up to the spring of next year. So TSO from its side, it's already and all business processes are ready to switch on energy units. There is no problem to start calculation, as if you know, we are for some IPs, for all IPs and from some other points, we are calculated informally like additional information to previous allocation or final allocation on energy units. If this law will be enacted, we are ready to start calculate volumes in energy units.
Thank you. And another question from Chess. So we are interested in the capacities in direction from Romania to Ukraine in Media-Shaurit Tekova interconnection point. What is the state of that? When it will be possible? So we already covered it during the presentation, but I will shortly repeat. So on Tekova Media-Shaurit, we are in the process of deciding on the technical issues of the measurement station with the adjacent TSO. We are raising the issue on the kind of higher level than the actual TSO level. We want to involve the...
I will just say, so the idea is that we already sent out the signed interconnection agreement from our side to Transgas. I think it was in the...
2nd of January 2020.
2nd of January 2020. That's why, I mean, for them it's just to sign it and we're ready for operation. So, and I highly encourage you, all the shippers, to send letters to Romanian NRA. Send letters that, dear NRA, we are shippers, we are interested, Transgas must open, blah, blah, blah. So you just need to press on NRA and it could happen. Because we spent almost 2 years already, or no, comparing when we started.
We had the public consultations on the business rules in October 2016 on Tekova. So
that's why we spent like a huge amount, 5 years on that, and we are still, you know, on some bureaucratic process, you know, these commissions going back and forth, but it's not solving the problem. So I highly encourage all the shippers, send letters to NRA, AMRE Romania, with the tough questions, and you know, as any public organization, they have to respond, and you know, we need to just push together.
Yeah, and actually, with the issues of the capacity allocation via auctions on Ukraine-Romania border, so such approach helps. So they finally approved last year the changes to Romanian legislation that they are obliged, the TSO is obliged to fulfill EU legislation on the border with contracting party. When the contracting party informs the Commission and the Energy Community Secretariat on that. So after we did all this stuff, we sent all the letters to ANRE, to the Energy Community. They've, I think from April or from May this year, started to use auctions on Isak-Chorlovka point from their side. It's not a lot, doesn't change much, but it shows that it is proper way to approach them through the regulator.
Colleagues, we received information from Romania side. Just by now, there is a process of TNDP adoption, and Romanian regulator and Romanian ministry are collecting proposals for TNDP of Romanian TSO. You can send your application proposal in scope of this process if you want.
Yes, because now the logic of TVNDP is the Romanian TSO is asking where to build the new ones, so it's kind of new pipelines. It's obvious that maybe you should allow using the existing infrastructure first and then build the new ones. So I think we don't have any more questions in the chat. No. Maybe someone else in the here offline? Yeah, Vadim?
plans for this year or the next to purchase gas for some own technical needs using tender procedures that maybe with the point of delivering gas to the house or something?
We don't have such plans yet. We have enough gas in storages, which we bought last year on quite reasonable price. But I cannot predict because sometimes unexpectedly we have to sell this gas to some traders, DSOs and stuff like that. So, but so far we have enough gas, so we don't plan to do any procurement this year. Next year we'll see. But actually I really afraid of next heating season because of this removal of TSO for district heating companies and other things. So it could be quite challenging winter for us.
And if the prices will on the spot market will go down, we might also consider going to the exchange to buy the fuel gas there, but it's only when the prices will be lower than our prices of gas in stock. So it doesn't seem that it will be like this in the nearest future, but.
Okay, so thank you very much for coming. It was a pleasure to see you all here and listen to your questions. And please, our business development team is fully at your disposal. If you have any ideas, how we can improve our business, what additional services we can offer, where we have problems, so please contact us and we will try to do our best in order to make your business easier. Thank you very much.
Thank you.